So let's talk about perimenopause in women and the symptoms that women may have. In particular, I want to talk really about the beginning of perimenopause because when it comes to women's wellness and their identifying symptoms, one of the things that seems very common is that a lot of women are in perimenopause but are not aware that they're in perimenopause. And even when they go to their GP or their doctors to say, I don't feel well, I feel off, I don't feel great, I have bloating, I have all these issues, I'm very tired, I cannot sleep, I have anxiety. A lot of doctors don't point to perimenopause. One of the things we have to understand at this stage is that many doctors are completely unaware of what perimenopause looks like in women, how it can affect women, how variable the symptoms are, how severe the symptoms are. So, what happens with a lot of cases is women will go first to their GP, and the GP will probably do the regular test, the blood test, and then the blood test comes back and they say, well, everything is fine. I don't see anything wrong. And so, you as a person who knows that you're not feeling great, you start to freak out because you're like, I know I'm not well. I know something is wrong. But here's the doctor telling me nothing is wrong. So that's a common phase for a lot of women. But what I want to highlight today is that perimenopause doesn't start with any notice. It doesn't give you any warning that it's coming. Because I think what happens is a lot of women expect to have irregular periods first. And irregular periods, which obviously are a sign of perimenopause or the onset of menopause, doesn't happen in everyone. And therefore, if you suddenly get a symptom like tiredness or fatigue or bloating, and you don't have irregular periods and you don't have hot flushes and night sweats and any of the more common symptoms, then you might not link it to perimenopause, and your GP might also not link it to perimenopause. That was my experience. I had a lot of symptoms, which now when I look back and with the knowledge that I've acquired, I realize I was in perimenopause now, but at the time I didn't, because I didn't even have any idea about perimenopause. And none of the doctors I saw ever pointed to perimenopause. In fact, what happened was I was constantly being pointed in different directions. So when I had issues with tiredness, that was checked, blood levels were checked, anemia, things like that. When I had issues with my stomach, they looked at my digestive system, talked about allergies, intolerances, but again, nothing was discovered. And so I just went round and round in circles, basically getting one symptom, trying to get treatment for the symptom, not really finding any answers, and then another symptom would show up. So, what are the early symptoms of perimenopause? The early symptoms of perimenopause could be extreme tiredness and fatigue, could be missed periods or irregular periods, but that doesn't happen with a lot of people. For example, I did not have irregular periods for about 4 years, but I was getting all the other symptoms before that. My periods were still completely regular, coming regularly. So fatigue, irregular symptoms can be, but also bloating, a lot of discomfort in the digestive system is a sign of perimenopause, but it's one that's easily missed because, of course, bloating could come from a lot of other things, IBS, gut issues, constipate, all sorts of other things. So bloating and just feeling uncomfortable in the stomach, having a lot of stomach pains, that could also be a sign of perimenopause. So what you want to do really is be aware of your symptoms. So when you start to feel unwell, and you need to obviously go to your doctor first to make sure that there's nothing else going on, rule out any other thing. And then what you want to start doing is keeping a note or a diary of your symptoms. See when they occur, because a lot of the perimenopausal symptoms will initially start, and you will notice them when you start tracking around the time of your period or during ovulation, or what should be ovulation. So tracking your symptoms and when they appear in line with your cycle, your menstrual cycle, will be very helpful, because that may point you very quickly to the fact that, oh, this might be hormonal, this might be something to do with my hormones. So going to your GP is always going to be the first course of action. But do know that those kind of little symptoms like tiredness, fatigue, bloating, I mentioned irregular periods because those could happen, but then also issues with your bladder, needing to go to the toilet constantly, forgetfulness, brain fog, memory loss, just forgetting things completely, clumsiness, bruises just appear out of nowhere. These are all signs that you might be in perimenopause. As I said, always go to your doctor first and make sure there's nothing else going on.